Hello, and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from the alien planet of Watero, I'll be your host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me today in the fish tank, DC area improv artist and comedian Sean Sharkfin Ellis. How's it going, man?
David, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, doing pretty good. We also have our very special guest and the man who suggested this week's series, Joe the Blowfish Gallo. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Oh man, I'm real good. I could be better after this show. Thankfully, we only had to watch about one episode of this series because that's all we could find. We'll talk about that because
Thankfully,
was really
YouTube
tough.
was smart enough to only put
Of all the
make
things.
one episode available to us.
Of all the things,
which is
man,
the best.
they do not love this show, which is TigerSharks. I believe that's the first time we mentioned the show, TigerSharks. Yeah, can't really find it out there on YouTube. And the history of it, you would think, it came from a fairly established production house, which Joe's going to tell us about the history of this show right about now. So I'll turn it over
All
to
right.
him.
So, TigerSharks is part of the comic strip show, which was 4 different animated series all wrapped up in one. You had the Mini Monsters, Street Frogs, Karate Cat. The only one I cared about when I was 8, TigerSharks. 26 episodes from 87 to 88.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of fits in with some of the other Rankin Bass work, Thundercats, Silverhawks, and they used a lot of the same voice talent. So Dolph is voiced by Larry Kenney, who was Lion-O. Walro, voiced by Earl Hammond, is Mum-Ra. And then Mako, Peter Newman, provides just a whole ensemble of characters on Silverhawks and Thundercats. As far as where are they now and what are some other interesting things they've done,
They're all dead.
False.
Peter
did the
Newman
show,
is
and they're all
Nikolai Jakov on Archer. And point of interest here, Larry Kenney was Count Chocula, as well as Sonny the Cuckoo Bird, if you're feeling cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I'm going to have to add that on our Monday morning breakfast cereal segment.
There
We've
you
been
go.
posted on the site because they're fun to watch, so I'm going to go back and look for him. Yeah.
The interesting thing about this is that, like, a majority of our shows that we've watched that have been, like, late 80s, early 90s have gone, like, one season, 50-plus episodes.
Yeah.
This seems like the most reasonable show that we've watched so far, where they're just one season, 26 episodes. Like, that seems, by today's, like, sitcom, like, evening sitcom standards,
Right.
like, it seems like somewhere between, like, the 22 to the 26 episode range is pretty standard, and it seems like TigerSharks didn't go overboard in that sense.
No,
So
what a terrible
I'm
pun.
going to applaud TigerSharks for not being like, we're gonna kill this terrible idea and just pummel it into the ground.
Yeah, it's weird though because it did follow, like Joe mentioned, in a series of Rankin Bass animated series. So in '85 there was Thundercats, in '86 there was Silverhawks, and then '87 there was TigerSharks. First, I'd like to be in on the boardroom while they're just like coming up with names for things. It's basically like a Mad Lib.
God.
It's like filling out a Mad Lib. Just like throw out an adjective or a noun and then throw an animal to it at the same time. It's just like, thunder, cats. Yeah, that's good. Next. Silver.
Lightning Prairie Dog.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, I don't know about that one. Somebody
it's
else. Yeah.
You know, just Rankin Bass has like a great track. I was about to say terrible track record.
Nah, they got a
Let's be
crazy
honest.
track
They have,
record. Yeah.
They have an amazing track record with coming up with like the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to names for their world building. I mean, just to kind of get into this show, all of this takes place on the fictitious world. It takes place between Earth and Watero. And if you're wondering how Watero
Oh, boy.
is spelled, it's just Water-O.
Yep. Lazy.
That's it.
That's about as lazy as Lion-O.
It's the laziest thing. Oh, and guess what? It's
Is it
pretty much an
inspired?
entire-
I think it's inspired, not lazy. Come on.
No, I think it's lazily inspired. I mean, and guess what? Watero is it's a fictional world that's completely covered by water.
Oh, how about
Almost
that?
completely covered by water. Like, oh my God, how do and Watero has a race of fish people on it. Go figure. Called Waterians, and it just and these TigerSharks. As we were talking about this offline,
Yeah.
like I mean, because of the the fact that we were restricted to watching like the one episode, like I'm sure that we weren't able to really get a lot of history. And I've actually been surprised. Like, there's not a ton of information about the Tiger Sharks like online. Just kind of like looking at different sites, or even just kind of going through Tumblr. It always kind of seems like it's bundled with a lot of this like Rankin Bass productions, and so like that's fine.
Even
like,
IMDb is very weak.
Oh yeah, there's nothing there. It's like a year and a title, and I think one voice actor, and that's it. Yeah.
So I mean, like, you know, it's kind of surprising because, you know, Thundercats and Silverhawks, like, those are standouts. Those are big. Like, there's a lot of fandom that is around both of those franchises, and rightly so. I mean, they're fun. I have very fond memories of watching them, but it just seems like Tiger Shark is kind of like the middle kid, even though it came last in this. It kind of seems like it's the middle kid syndrome, where like it wanted to kind of measure up to its older brother and, you know, the younger sister, but like it just never quite got there. I'm just working through family issues on this podcast.
All good. No, it is kind of strange though, because
I'm Tiger Sharks.
Sean's Tiger Sharks.
I'm Tiger Sharks.
I did see on like a YouTube comment on one of the episodes that we were watching. This one was actually dubbed in Greek, which did not help anyone except the Greeks.
I know, that was hilarious.
Well, I found a one-off comment saying that this show was huge in Greece. Apparently.
That's so weird. I mean,
really?
Maybe because they're like a Mediterranean country. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if anybody, if you know Greece for anything, you know their love of underwater salvage
bankruptcy
is
love of bankruptcy. That's all I got.
Love of bankruptcy, love of poor economic exchange. But these Tiger Sharks are just sort of like this team of salvagers.
Yeah.
And they one of the members has created this device that is just, again, here we go with just Rankin Bass wonderful names. It's called the fish tank.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, Joe or Dave, what did the fish tank look like?
I'll give it to Joe. Yeah.
Sauna.
It's a big old hot tub.
You jump in and it bubbles up and lasers shoot around.
For no reason.
That's how I couldn't recall when I described the show to people. I always just said they'd like jump in a giant sauna.
Yeah, when Joe was like talking, he's like, "Oh, there's this show. I can't remember the name of it." He's like, "But there's a bunch of people that jump into a hot tub together, and then they turn into animals." I'm like, I don't think that's a show for kids.
It's totally a show.
It's not for kids.
Only
turns
for
out it was.
It's like if you went to like if in the 80s, it's like if you went to like a Night Ranger concert and it was in an aquarium. Like that's what the fish tank was.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of laser light show. Like it's just a lot of just like
a lot of like unisex
and glitz.
jumpsuits and yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. But these people, they get into these humans. Let me preface this because there are multiple races that are in this show.
Yes.
These humans from Earth get into this fish tank, and it transforms them into whatever their marine form would be. Which again,
how would you? How would you make that?
Oh my God, Dave, how would you figure out what the translation?
Yeah, how do you know which character, which animal you?
Well, I think the only proper way to do it would be like animorphs. You know, like they got a sea creature, and then they can absorb its DNA and transform into it.
Or like Sean said, based on lazy ass naming schemes. Yeah.
Oh, names.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
straight up names.
Oh, that's terrible. It's terrible. Like,
no DNA code.
If I was to introduce myself, Dave, and I was to say, my name is Mako, what do you think I would turn into when I get into the fish tank?
I'm going to go shark.
Oh my God. You are 100% correct.
Yeah.
Because this show is...
I love the reverse engineering of this show, though, because they're just like, we need a shark, a dolphin, an octopus. What are we going to name these idiots? How about Mako, Dolph, and Octavia? How's that sound? Yep, perfect. Nailed it. No last names.
But, now, I had a moment of enlightenment earlier, though, because I thought that one of their names didn't fit at all.
This was pretty good.
Horse character is Bronk, and I was like, "What the heck is up with that?" But
there you go.
Bronk turns into a seahorse.
Yeah,
and
like a sea bronco,
also like a bronco.
Yeah.
Bronco.
So
that was the one.
Even that, I thought that was
room.
Just like the one of these things is not like the other.
No.
But
this is the
turns out
that could have been. It could have been the one that like breaks the mold that everybody's just like, oh my God, applaud.
Exactly, the one.
Like,
a little bit of
coming
original.
up with one.
The one character.
Nope, absolutely not.
Well, let's talk about the other characters though, because we've got this whole Tiger Sharks team. Do you want to talk about the characters first, or do you want to talk about their name, Tiger Sharks? Sean, what would you like to do? Because I know you were puzzling over this.
Let's talk about the characters. I mean, because we've already started to talk about Mako.
Yeah.
and obviously he turns into a mako shark.
Yeah, how about that?
And he's just like sort of like he's sort of like the leader of some of he's like the mission leader.
Yeah.
For a lot of the stuff that they do.
He's like the team supervisor, basically, and then just becomes a leader. Yeah.
He's the team middle manager.
Right. You're right, exactly.
Just, but he turns into this cool ass mako shark. They have you have the guy who creates the fish tank is named Walro, and surprise, surprise, he turns into a walrus.
Yeah. Now therein lies the first kind of question mark that raised when I was watching this. So Walro is kind of like he's the old, portly, mustachioed gentleman with the kind of this gravelly voice. Joe,
he's the paternal figure.
Yes, he's very much the paternal figure. Joe, you had an interesting point with the voice cast. So Walro is voiced by Earl Hammond, who also happened to voice.
Mum-Ra,
exactly.
as I mentioned.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
But he's also, it's funny because he keeps doing like these loud, like, oh, kind of things. And it sounds like a walrus Santa Claus.
It's very much a walrus
He plays Santa Claus.
Oh, it's so weird.
Rankin Bass Life and Adventures of Santa Claus.
It all makes sense. He's a mummy walrus Santa Claus. Enjoy that image, kids.
And also, you might not know this, he was TV's Buck Rogers.
What? Get out of here.
Yes,
Earl Hammond.
I'm completely serious.
Man, the voice cast and the history of the show is actually way more interesting than the show itself, because there's a lot of just like Rankin Bass history to comb through.
The show itself is garbage.
It's pretty bad.
It's garbage that I wouldn't even have the TigerSharks salvage.
Look, and we talk about some weird and kind of sometimes worthless shows, but we talk about them in like a loving manner for the most part. Like we say, like, all right, they tried this thing, it was terrible, but we enjoyed it. This one was just like, well, we'll get to it, I guess.
There was just so much crazy. I mean, like,
nothing connected. Not even in like. There was no logic to it.
In
any even like cartoon logic. You know.
Yeah.
If you're gonna.
And I mean, like a lot of it. Oh, so I think the thing that killed me about Walro, just like so like at one point, they have this like conversation, and like the TigerSharks are having this conversation, and they God, this is killing me. The one character Lorca, who's like their mechanic, is up on Watero, and he's trying to grab some salvage. Let's just get into it. We'll fill in the characters later because they're trash.
Fine with me.
Nobody cares about them.
Fine with me.
All right. And so the Lorca gets captured, and so like the TigerSharks are like, oh my god, we gotta go save him. And they I should also mention they have this ship that's called the Sark. S-A-R-K.
Yeah.
And so this is like a spaceship that allows them to travel back and forth between Earth.
But it's got this AI that's kind of like Tony Stark's Jarvis.
Yes.
Very much like Jarvis.
Yeah.
Very much like Jarvis.
And so they go through this like thing where they're like, oh my god, they're like, Lorca's in trouble. They're like, we need to get to Watero. And so they tell Sark, they're just like, Sark, we need an immediate blast off.
As fast as you can.
He goes, blast off in 4 minutes and 12 seconds. And I was like, oh my god, Lorca's gonna die.
Yeah, he's fucking dead.
That happened within like 2 minutes of the show starting, and I was like, oh yes, this is gonna be the first death of the show, like first death, like I'm pumped.
But
like,
here's the even better part though. What did the TigerSharks do when Sark answers in that manner? What did they take this as the opportunity to do now that they have to wait 4.5 minutes to go? Yeah.
Walro takes this time to just be like that's the perfect amount of time to show you guys the fish tank.
Right.
Like I'm like, oh my god.
Well,
like,
and
Stark
it brings it. So he's been working on the fish tank in secret for years.
This giant,
I guess,
this
but
enormous,
it's built into the ship. Like, have they all just not wandered back to the back half of the ship ever?
Yeah. Where's all this power being drained to?
Did anyone ever ask him, hey, what's this giant sauna thing you've been building?
Don't worry about it. It's just a little pet project of mine. Yeah.
But the best part is that they get back to the fish tank, and this is the big reveal that like they're able to transform from humans into this like fish hybrid.
While Lorca is being tortured on an alien planet. Yeah.
Exactly. And so while they're killing 4 minutes and 12 seconds.
Which is an awfully specific amount
very
of
specific,
time.
yeah.
I loved it. It was so crazy. So they're getting ready to like blast off, and like Walro gets in and he turns into the walrus, and everybody's just like, oh my god, they're like, he's a walrus.
Why? And what was his reasoning behind this? What did he want to accomplish this for?
Oh, so he wanted to be able to breathe underwater
Okay.
without like bulky gear. He wanted to be able to like continue to like do salvage work that they've
Yeah.
been doing underwater without having the bulky gear.
So his choice
you know?
was walrus.
And so yeah, so just straight up, instead of saying like, hey, you know what, I'll make like a more compact like,
Right.
first and second stage like diving.
I'll make a
rig,
tinier
you're
scuba
gonna
suit
Totally manipulate your DNA right?
in this giant
You're just gonna
fucking hot
totally
tub.
splice it.
Right.
So I'm gonna make this hot tub time machine, turn you guys into monsters, and then we'll just get in the water.
And then we'll be the
So-
good guys. Yeah.
So the best part is that like, because like at this point in time, like you're being introduced to all this stuff for like the first time ever. And like I would
It's
think
very
like,
tight
as-
exposition.
Yeah. I mean, you
Yes.
can get it all done in
And you
4
would-
minutes and 12 seconds. So
And you exactly right. You would think that you'd just be like, oh my god, like how does this amazing technology work? Well, Walro just looks at everybody and just goes, hold your questions, and everybody's just like, oh yeah, I don't give a shit.
no, don't care. Just gonna go swimming.
I don't give a
Well, you figure that the trip from, Earth to Watero probably took, at least weeks or months. So
Yeah.
probably had
At which
plenty of
point they
time
found
to talk about all
Lorca
this
just
movie.
like barely clinging to life. His skeletal
Right. Well,
remains. chained up.
even if they traveled, at light speed, by the time they don't age at all. But Lorca's been dead and buried.
Yeah, he's a little dusty at this point. But surprisingly,
Oh,
Lorca's
God.
fine, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Now, Joe, I believe I know who your favorite character of the TigerSharks is. But why don't you go ahead and let the people know who that is? If I'm wrong, I'll tell you.
I believe you must be talking about Octavia,
Oh, yeah, buddy. I nailed it.
Yeah.
the token female of the group. Actually, well, there's another token female.
Yeah, but she's kind of like
Angel.
Token female.
the older quote-unquote female of the group. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh really?
Well, I mean, compared
What
to
do you
Angel,
think she
yeah.
transforms into?
Oh, Octavia's the older. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Octavia is the.
Octavia is
more
Chitara.
sophisticated older woman.
Octavia is
Yeah.
Chitara. Let's just throw that out there.
She's 100%.
Yeah,
Chitara.
she's exactly
Yeah,
Chitara.
yeah. Not voiced though. I want to know what happened there. If there was some kind of
I
disagreement
don't know.
or
Might have been a cat fight.
fatal accident.
Oh.
Yeah, I did it.
You did it. Well done.
So anyway, Octavia. Yeah, what do you think she turns into with a name like Octavia? It's just,
Oh, she turns into coral.
yeah, no.
she just turns into
reef.
coral. She,
She turns into seaweed.
she's just a brine shrimp floating on a current. No, very much like Dr. Otto Octavius. She turns into sort of an octopus, but here's the catch, kids.
Yeah.
Not really so much. Basically, her hair turns into an octopus, and that's about it.
Yeah, her hair becomes tentacles, and that's it.
Does she like crap out ink or anything? Does she spit ink?
Ah,
You know,
hope so. I hope
you're
she swallowed
stirring
it.
a 20-year-old memory. I think she does have some kind
Okay.
of inking power.
I figured as much. Where that comes from is going to be
It doesn't come up in
real
these episodes
curious.
we saw, but
Yeah. The censors
So,
probably
like-
had a good time with that one.
I'm gonna be honest.
Let's go.
Octavia and Angel were both attractive.
Oh,
for
yeah.
for me, like I. it's
poorly
very rare,
drawn
like,
animated.
Very, very crude female approximations.
with
Yeah.
shitty names. I was surprised. Like there was, because we mentioned they're underwater salvage divers,
Yeah.
and so they're all wearing like skin tight,
Yep.
like
wetsuits.
Oh,
yeah.
wetsuits and stuff like that. Like,
Even Walro. You
Like,
can see every roll of that
just
fat
a lot.
man's body. Delightful.
Well, I'd like to tell you what my favorite character
Yeah,
is.
please do.
Which comes a little bit later in the first episode. It is their pet basset
I
hound,
knew it.
Gup.
I knew it. If you've seen
I-
Sean's
like-
Tumblr page full of pugs and pizza, you knew that it had to
all
be a
dog.
puppy. Yeah.
All dogs and pizza. And so because they don't originally, I don't remember seeing initially that they had a dog, and then all of a sudden
He
it's
just
like
pops
this
up.
dog appears
Yeah.
and just like jumps into the hot tub, and I was just like, holy shit, is this gonna turn into like a dogfish? And then he did, and I just I squealed with excitement. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I want one of these so bad. I'll take both, like either or. I was like, this thing is so fucking cute.
It was pretty cute, and he actually
Loved it.
assists in some battling too, so that was good. I don't know
Yes.
what my favorite. It's really tough to have a favorite of something you hate. So, I'm probably gonna have to go with some of the villains. I'm gonna go
Oh.
Dragonstein because what the fuck?
Yeah.
Dragonstein is the best.
Well, now's a great time to talk about the
I
villains.
actually really like the concept of Dragonstein.
And it's
a
so
lot.
busy, it comes out of nowhere. You're thinking like, okay, we got humans that turn into sea creatures. That's fine, I can deal with that. They're probably going to face off against some weird kind of like villainous sea creatures, which is true to an extent. However, the villainous sea creatures are not the only villains on this alien planet. But first,
Right, there's
let's,
two teams.
Yeah, let's talk about the first team first. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
let's frame sort of because this happens very very early.
You were introduced immediately to the villains. So to
yes,
the villains.
you are. And so
That is
you
the
are
first frame. Yeah.
You're like right away. You meet
T-Ray.
You meet T-Ray and you meet Walleye.
Yep.
And so they are like in a ship and they are heading to Watero. And there's like a super quick one-line dialogue where it's just like, our planet has run out of water. We're going to make Watero our new home planet. And you're just like, okay, makes sense.
Got
I'm
it.
on board.
Right.
Let's get with it.
Let's
Here's
go.
the thing. Like, I was just like, okay, like I'm sitting there with like a bingo scorecard for this show. I'm just like, terrible names, check. Great intro, check. Like, exposition done in one line of dialogue, nothing more, check. And so the thing that was killing me, though, is that they get to Watero and they see what looks to be like the only piece of land that's around, and it's just like these like kind of like giant icebergs. And like Walleye, who, you know, I mean, his name's Walleye, so he has to have amazing vision anyway.
Right.
He just spies people frozen in the ice. And
Right.
T-Ray's instruction as the leader is just like blast them.
Yep.
Like just
Hit him with
blast
the heat
them
ray. Yep.
Just to make sure. And like, and what does it do?
It frees
unlocks them.
the ice.
Yeah, frees Dragonstein,
frees
who
them.
immediately comes to life and blasts the ship with like this crazy stream of fire, which causes the this manta ray shaped ship to just kind of like crash land under the water. So it just crashes into the water. So that is your introduction to this crazy show. We didn't even get to the Tiger-Sharks yet. You didn't even get to the hot tub fish tank time machine. I mean, that is your intro. So you're just like, what the fuck is happening right now? And it just gets weirder from there.
And Dave nailed it, because like, so Dragonstein like thaws, and so does the other main villain that is opposite of T-Ray, which is Captain Bizarrely. If you're just like, wait, Sean, I want to pause for 1 second and just ask, are you making these names up?
Sure
no,
ain't.
I am 100% not. These are terrible names for this terrible show.
We're not the smartest people on Earth, but God, give us some credit, because these are bad.
So Captain Bizarrely, I want to sum him up in one line, like all of the exposition that's in this show, and just say he's a pirate who's afraid of water.
on a water world, which he's trying to dominate.
Water-based planet.
So there it is, kids.
That's it. That's just, you know, if that scores a bingo for your Rankin Bass bingo card, you're welcome.
Collect your winnings. Come on up to the table.
Off.
No, you win more podcasts in the future. Come on up to the table and collect your prize. Joe, I know we were talking about this one offline, but at some point, and it doesn't take very long, but the villains meet up in a very interesting sort of way. So T-Ray and Bizarrely never met each other before. We should probably talk about how they team up, because it's really interesting.
They come to an understanding of common principles very quickly.
Yeah.
I believe the exchange goes like this: we're both on the same side. We have the same cause. And then the response is something like,
the response is, what causes that?
Yeah.
And the answer is, why, evil, of course.
And then they both share an evil laugh. And it's the weirdest damn thing. It's just like, all right,
so
yeah,
creepy.
we're just going for it. That's fine. Let's do it. So these two guys team up. So it's the Mantanas, all right? Not to be confused with Anchorman's Channel 4 News team's Brian Fantana. So Mantanas.
Or Hannah Montana.
Or Hannah Montana. None of the above, just the Mantanas. And Captain Bizarrely, he eventually like thaws out more of his old pirate crew. But
we don't get a proper introduction.
Yeah, we didn't get to see him.
We didn't get
to see him.
Well, I mean,
the episodes that are available.
Right. I mean, like,
I'm left with a lot of questions there.
Well, there's lots of questions to be asked.
You can read what a couple of their names are, like, on Wikipedia, but really the only one that you need to know is Dragonstein. Dragonstein rules.
Yeah. Dragonstein is so good. I just want Dragonstein to just murder everybody on this planet and just rule by himself. So Dragonstein, you may have pieced together, is a dragon Frankenstein creature. He doesn't talk, as far as I know, at least in the first episode. He basically just, anytime someone says something or moves in a way that he does not approve of, he just blasts them with fire, and I love it. Dragonstein is the best. He's the only character.
Also, he's tiny little wings that don't seem like they'd be capable of allowing him to fly.
Like anything, and you wouldn't think that he could.
Later on in episode 2, he does fly.
Oh, does he fly?
There's a lot of physics problems in this show.
Yeah, he apparently can swim no problem.
Really...
Dragonstein is perfectly fine swimming around with stubby little arms, this massive
tail.
I forgot. Makes no sense.
Swims,
He dives right in after that.
T-Rex.
Yeah, it makes zero sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Dragonstein, he should just sink like a fucking stone to the core of this planet. It's so good, though. I love Dragonstein. That's the only thing that I look forward to. Yeah.
Dave, for my Dragonstein-based religion, that's every planet has a Dragonstein in the middle of the planet, and that's what keeps everything together.
That's where you're ultimately trying to get to after you shuffle off this mortal coil. Yeah.
You're always trying to get to the middle of the planet
to be one with Dragonstein. Yeah.
Be one with Dragonstein.
I like it. You can join the Church of Dragonstein at SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. But moving on from there, I mean, so it was really tough to try to keep the quote-unquote plot of this episode together because it's so windy and illogical and, like, so bizarrely in Dragonstein get thawed out, they immediately have this crazy layer that I guess they used to inhabit back in the day.
Well, and that's the thing. They've been out. They've been frozen for potentially thousands of years.
Yeah, long time.
Because they weren't frozen recently. It was by the ancestors. You know, it's implied ancient history that the ancestors of the current Watarians froze them. So it is surprising that their lair is still there.
Yeah, and the current Watarians are very diminutive, very benevolent, peace-loving people. And Joe, how did their ancestors defeat Captain Bizarrely and Dragonstein again?
Well, that's the thing. They live in peace and safety,
right.
and they seem very holier than thou about it. Mm-hmm. But the reason is because their ancestors murdered and froze all their enemies.
Exactly, just murdered and entombed their enemies forever.
It's easy to be peaceful once you've won.
Yeah. Once you're the only one. Yeah, exactly.
Guys, we're victorious, so like we can all just agree just to be like chill right now.
Yeah,
right?
so let's chill or get frozen. Like that's your choice pretty much.
Here's the thing that blows my mind is that like they froze these people. Why didn't they killed all these other people? Why didn't they just kill the people they froze?
Because then they couldn't come back thousands of years later to assist T-Ray in conquering the TigerSharks.
Here's the thing. I don't understand biology.
Neither does Rankin Bass. So go ahead.
Rankin Bass. Yeah. So how are you frozen in ice on a water-based planet for all of those years, and when you're defrosted, you're like immediately like I don't know. If I wake up, here's the thing.
Right.
I equate getting frozen to like taking like a super long nap.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Encino Man style.
Yes. I take a super long nap. The first thing I want to do is eat, like not commit heinous evil acts.
Right. And not resume your old lair under the ocean.
I really need a bagel and an egg sandwich. Like I'm starving, guys. Come on, that's like me waking up every morning.
See, here's why I love Dragonstein though, because he wakes up after thousands of years entombed in ice and just blasts things with fire, and that's why I love it. Love it.
Not a single bit of curiosity.
No, doesn't give a shit. Has not changed in 1,000 years. Just blasted everything with fire. Dragonstein for life.
Here's the thing. You have to realize that in that instance, that even though he's been frozen for as long as he has, Dragonstein has remained true to himself.
No, he is. he's very true
he is
to himself.
100%. I'm proud of him.
He's a confident creature.
Yeah.
He's got no self-esteem issues, this Dragonstein.
All right. I almost wanna sum up this trashy first episode.
Well, how do you want to sum it?
Well, I was just going to say, like, so what happens is you find out that, like, there's 2 tons of this explosive device called X400, which is evidently so powerful that if it got on Earth, it would have the power to knock the Earth out of orbit.
Sure.
It'd have the ability to knock a planet out of orbit.
Right.
Okay, 2 tons of this X400. All right. And these.
So real quick though, what do they want to do with it? They want to get it safely back to Earth.
Yeah.
Let's please return this to Earth, where it can do the most damage. Yeah.
They flat out say it could knock a planet out of orbit, and they're like, "Well, just bring it back to Earth."
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Just bring it back to Earth.
Don't dump it into the sun or anything.
God,
Just bring it directly back to Earth. These guys are not real bright. I mean, they are salvage operators, you know. I mean, sometimes I've seen them described as like scientists.
These guys aren't professional superheroes.
No.
They're just a salvage crew.
No. Who can somehow turn themselves into animals. And yeah, where the hell did that name come from? Nobody's a tiger shark.
Okay, so
Mako's the closest thing.
That was my question. That was my question. Okay. What is a tiger shark?
I think it's like there's great whites and there's hammerheads and there's
species.
No, but I mean like in the context of this show.
Oh, okay,
like,
so not biologically on Earth.
Not biologically. I've already established I know
exactly.
bio.
Right.
So like in the context of this show, like what is a tiger shark? Is it
it's just their team.
It's a team name. It's like a team of roughnecks.
It's a short way of saying us guys.
Yeah, it's like the Dallas Cowboys, you know, the Harlem Globetrotters, Watero Tiger Sharks.
I mean, like thinking about this like a little bit more. Is it just like, like if you go in for? I think about this in the sense of like if you went in for an interview to become a tiger shark.
Okay.
Would they just be like, oh, hey, thanks for coming in. Like, we're really glad that you're here. We noticed that you have salvage experience. Check. Great. That sounds good.
Yeah. It's a plus.
You don't. It's a plus. You have a real shitty name.
Aquatic themed name.
You have aquatic theme first name.
Right.
No last name whatsoever.
No, that doesn't raise any red flags. No, that's fine.
We're on board.
That's good. Check that out. That's fine.
And they're like, would you like to feel that you can do the right thing despite the fact that you have really no stakes in what's going on whatsoever? Like, do you feel that like you could stand up and become a superhero if the situation or the circumstances presented themselves as such where we would call upon you to do that?
I'm going to say trick question. I'm going to say if you answer yes to that question, you are automatically red flagged for being a crazy person.
That is true.
Yeah, you gotta. This is not a responsibility to be given lightly, even though all these jackasses treat it as such.
It's just kind of like freaking dog, man.
Yeah, they do let the dogs. Yeah, jump in there. Go ahead, dog. Become a member. But I think it's like Starship Troopers Roughnecks. You know, like I think it's like a team name, kind of like this camaraderie kind of thing. They just have like this name that they assign themselves, and they're like, yeah, we're the Tiger Sharks. Doesn't matter. There's never a tiger shark in the show. They are not fish creatures to begin with. They're just tiger sharks because they're like scuba divers. But the thing is, you can posit that, but it's never actually explained anywhere in the show itself, as far as I know. They didn't all go to scuba diving school and like form a team. I have no idea.
Right. I mean, like the name Tiger Sharks is pretty rad.
Yeah,
like if you were hanging out with like a gang and you like if we started calling our, like if Joe, Baron, and Dave and I, if we just all start calling ourselves like the Tiger Sharks, like that's a pretty cool name.
It's like motorcycle gang or like a jet
Yeah,
ski.
exactly.
Probably a jet ski gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys want to start a jet ski gang called the Tiger Sharks?
Can we have a jet ski gang? Oh my god, I want this so bad.
You definitely can.
I really want a jet ski gang. It just seems so fun. We just ride around with like.
I wish we were obnoxiously independently wealthy, so we could do a series of YouTube shorts, like Sons of Anarchy, but on jet skis. That'd be amazing.
We just bully people on piers.
Yeah, we just bully rich people on yachts and just steal from them. I'm totally, not to make another pun, but I'm on board with this.
Yeah, that needs a Kickstarter.
That was good.
Heck yeah. But okay, so we got the Tiger Sharks, we got the teams, we got the villains, you got the X400. How does this all wrap up? Because honestly, like I was still left with many, many questions at the end of this first episode. How does this all wrap up?
Joe, how does this wrap up?
Boy,
does anyone know?
So, I think they.
Well, we still got Lorca and
Tiger
Shames,
Sharks stay to fight the Mantanas, and the Mantanas stay to fight the Tiger Sharks, and it just becomes this, we're stuck here fighting kind of thing.
Oh, I wasn't looking for like an existential answer. I was just like, what the fuck happened to Lorca? Like,
well, I mean,
if you want to get philosophical with it, that's
eventually they get him back.
He did. That boy did.
We get introduced to the annoying characters on the show.
Yeah.
Harper and Weakfish, who are the Schnarf, Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, it's as if Snarf and Jar Jar Binks were friends and were bad guys.
And there were two of them.
Yeah.
Which means they can talk to each other. So there are whole scenes where they're just talking to each other.
They're
Oh, of
irritating.
course.
And you've also got like kind of the Wily Kit, Wily Cat pairing of Bronk and Angel. And they're kind of they're just like the kids. They're like off doing recon, and they kind of get in trouble, and they're just, like they're on like those sun sail kind of things, like the parasails out there.
Well, the other thing, though, and this is important to note, is that the Mantanas is a pretty rough group of, T-Ray and Walleye, Shad, Dredge. We've got, some serious badasses that we got to worry about. And then fully 1/3 of the team is Carper and Weak.
Who are just worthless.
Oh, boy, I don't like this. Oh.
Like, Carper and Weakfish, it's like the friend that you ask to do something, they're like, oh, I don't know, that could be dangerous.
It's basically...
I gotta get home.
My asthma's gonna cause a problem.
It's basically like Woody Allen as a sea creature.
And at home.
It's just kind of like a very nervous Woody Allen as a sea creature. Or like, what was his name? Filbert from Rocko's Modern Life? Was that the turtle?
Yeah,
Filbert? It's very much like Filbert. It is very much like Filbert, because it's just kind of that like...
Wash your hands, turn the page.
Wash your hands, turn the page. I'm nauseous. Yeah. It's very much...
exactly.
Very much like...
That's 100% Carper and
I don't know why. Why are they there?
I mean, like, in the context of, like, Rocko's Modern Life and, like, anything else, like, it's one character.
Right.
In this, it's two characters that just get a shit ton of screen time. And it's just them bitching about stuff. And, like, it's just, at one point, I was just like, this show is just full of complainers.
Look, I was
full of nothing but people complaining.
I was hoping. Okay, so at one point, Carper and Weakfish, like they're on this like undersea, this underwater motorcycle with a chainsaw blade attached to the front of it for unknown reasons, called like a sawbill.
Sawbill.
Yeah, sawbill.
Sawbill.
So they're riding together at roughly.
Sawbill.
They're riding at roughly like 5 miles an hour, just coasting along. Supposed to be doing something, but they're just dicking around. And they're just riding and complaining to each other and just like meh, moaning into the water. And then they just get completely taken by surprise by, I think, is it Bronk and Angel at this point? Or is it like Mako and Dolph? I can't remember who it was.
I thought it was Mako and Dolph.
I think it was.
It's Mako and Dolph.
And I thought...
And the crazy thing is they don't know they're Mantanas. They're just assaulting these two random guys.
Random fish people on a motorbike,
But do you remember how they assaulted
Well, this
them?
is what I was hoping. I was like, thank God someone's going to kill these two.
This is the best part.
Don't they just swim up behind them, put them in like choke holds, and drag them off the bike? I thought they were going to drag them to their death, to be honest with you. I thought they were just going to eliminate them.
Dark show.
Yeah.
But didn't they put... It looks like they put like a cloth over one of their faces, like over one of their mouths. I was like, oh my God,
Did they?
Are they?
Did they use like ether to knock them out, or
are they
chloroforming them underwater?
Underwater, yeah.
Are they underwater? Because like I'm pretty sure. Again, I don't know a lot about bio, and let's translate this to chemistry.
Sure.
I also don't know a lot about water in general, other than showering all the time.
Yeah.
But like, I'm pretty sure that like if you have one liquid and you put it in another liquid, it just dilutes both.
Dilution's the solution, brother. Correct.
It's just It like, oh my God, like I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, holy shit, they just fucking chloroformed everything in that small area of the ocean.
Maybe it was like a sponge full of air, and they just like suffocated them.
They choked them out?
Choked them out through their gill. I don't know. I'll tell you what, though. Speaking of, so they do a lot of this interplay between like humans that are obviously able to breathe air, sea creatures that can only breathe water, some tiger sharks that are sea creatures but still have to breathe air. That was kind of an oversight. Like, I don't know.
Right, Lorca, Dolph,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of stupid. However, they do in the plot kind of play back and forth on this, and like if you're stuck underwater and you happen to turn...
This is an educational show.
Oh yeah, it's got the NEA stamp of approval. So like they do play with the dangers of it. So if you're like a human and you're underwater and you're not a sea creature yet, and you lose your air or something, you got to go up and like surface for air. That's fine. If you're a fish creature and you're out of water, then it's dangerous because there's air and you can't breathe. So at one point, Angel warns the guys about going into Captain Bizarrely's lair, and this is probably my top favorite line of everything. We have some good ones, but of everything. She goes, "Careful, there's a dragon and a room full of air." I fucking lost it at that point. I was like, a room full of air? That's a hazard you have to watch out for? Jesus Christ. So, dragon...
Favorite bad line?
Oh my God.
There's some good ones. I
I
mean,
think
you could pull it from the
think
intro,
oh
honestly.
no, my favorite is from the beginning.
Yeah.
The first introduction that you have to the TigerSharks is Dolph walking down a pier towards the Sark.
Yes.
And the Sark evidently has like some biometric scanner that
Like a security
prompts
device. Yeah.
Dolph. Yeah, it prompts Dolph to identify himself
Right.
for security purposes, to let him in, and he just goes like, and Dolph has like a weird Irish accent.
It's like kind of
Yeah,
Scottish,
Scottish
kind of
accent?
something in between.
It's
And his
just-
name's Dolph, of all
I don't know,
things. I don't know.
There's some weird cultural appropriation in this show that they just take liberties with. But 87 was evidently totally cool with doing
Who
it.
knows?
But it's just like, it's at some point like he just like, so Dolph just goes, I'm Big Julie from Jupiter.
Yep.
And begins to dance around.
He does a
and then
jig.
Just walks through the scanner and then has to re-identify himself as Dolph, a member of the TigerSharks, and then they give him shit, like Walro gives him shit about it, and I was just like, it was one of those things where I was just like, oh my god, this show is full of dumb goofballs.
Just a bunch of drunks, I think. I think they were just drunk in the recording booth, and they were just like, yeah, whatever, we'll fix it later.
But he does this, like, I'm Big Julie from Jupiter, and like the Sark's like, bah, bah, bah. Like
It doesn't blast him,
unauthorized
though. It just kind of
personnel.
like tickles him with lasers, and then just blasts
yeah,
in
it
his
just
ear.
tickles him
Yeah.
with lasers.
Just tickles him.
He doesn't want to be tickled with lasers.
I do. Joe, did you have a favorite line from this show?
My favorite is, they're in the middle of a fight.
Yeah.
There are these eel torpedoes
Yes.
flying, and Walro says to Dolph, "Look out! In back of you."
Not behind you. Because
No,
at this
not
point in
behind.
evolution, we have evolved to the point of using terrible grammar.
back of you.
In back of you.
Yeah. I
Ah,
can't believe he didn't be like, on your dorsal part of your body
yeah.
now.
Check your dorsal side. Yeah, like
That would have
anything.
been good, yeah, because they use a lot of water or nautically themed puns and
Yeah,
stuff.
just poorly though, so poorly.
Oh,
Another
yeah.
one of my favorites might have been Captain Bizarrely though, because they do take these moments where they basically just like crash through this fourth wall. So there's a point where it's maybe right before the end of the first episode where things have like gone crazy, and you're trying to like keep it all together. Like, what the hell is going on? Captain Bizarrely, he's like left, like T-Ray and Walleye go back and they go to fight the TigerSharks or whatever. Captain Bizarrely's left by himself, and he basically looks at the camera and goes, "This is all too bizarre," and then they just cut away
Yep.
from him. I'm like, you were not even
Now, you
trying
had-
to mask it.
Yeah. Dave, now you had a perfect assertion about
Oh, yeah.
Bizarrely
Right.
and what he looks like. Please share.
Yeah, so he's hard to describe unless you know this character that I'm about to talk about. So he looks like he was modeled after I believe it's a Bela Lugosi character from like the Universal Monsters movies, the classic monster movies of like this,
Yeah.
the black and white kind of like, I think he was like a phantom. It wasn't Frankenstein or Mummy, obviously, but it was like the Phantom. So he's got like these heavy lidded eyes, these deep, kind of sunken eyes with huge heavy bags under his eyes, and he's just all his skin is kind of drawn down, and he looks like he's kind of sagging, and he's got this kind of like purplish hue to him. But then put that in Captain Crunch's outfit, and that's basically what Captain Bizarrely looks like.
Yeah, it's like Bela Lugosi because I think it's like a Phantom from like Phantom of the Opera.
I think that's what it was, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
And it's so weird because that's where they drew it. There's just so many different things coming in from different angles on this show, because there was very much like the Thundercats and Silverhawks influence of how they structure the show and how they build the teams and who's going to have what quirks and personalities and all that. And that, that makes sense. It worked well twice before, so why change that? And then you just interject these weird things like Captain Bizarrely and Dragonstein and just all this craziness. And honestly, like, maybe it would have sorted itself out after a few more episodes, but we didn't get a chance to watch any because you just can't find them. Now I know Joe remembers some more from his childhood. So Joe, does this trigger any like memories or any scenes or any weirdness?
The only thing that I can actually remember from 1987 on this show, I remember the sauna and the sea creatures aspect of things. I remember, we don't see it in this episode, but Walleye, I don't know if it's a throwaway thing in just one episode or if he has this power consistently throughout the series, but he has these giant googly eyes,
right.
and he can hypnotize you, and he has this weird little like rhyme that he says while he's hypnotizing you with his googly eyes. And I think ends with something like "Your mind will boggle." You know, it's like it
Oh
rhymes
boy.
with something, and it ends the rhyme on boggle.
boy.
And then there's another episode. You know, they in the exposition for the fish tank, they talk about how if they don't get back to the fish tank, they'll be trapped as fish forever.
Right.
And I kind of think there's a time limit that they didn't make explicit in this episode, but there's an episode later where Dolph, I think it was Dolph, ends up getting some kind of amnesia, and he thinks he's just a normal dolphin. So he's like swimming around with the dolphins, and he doesn't know he's actually a man.
It's Big
and,
Julie
they're
from
worried
Jupiter,
he might
yeah.
trap that way forever.
It's so weird. I don't know. I almost want
That's
to.
all I remember, though. It's a weird show.
I like morbidly want to seek out more episodes of this just to see what else they did. Now I think, like you said, there's only like 26, so it's not like there's a lot to sort through, right?
Right.
And this one I think was eventually picked up by Warner Brothers Animation. I think the whole comic strip series was picked up, and they just haven't released
Shoot 'em a
anything.
petition, man.
Yeah, there's one out there apparently, according to the Wikipedia page. So if you guys are interested, we can definitely put a link to that on our site, and we'll get literally tens more signatures. We did
Tens
not
of
talk
20s.
tens
Just
and
roll with
20s.
signatures.
Yeah, buddy.
Tens and 20s.
Jacksons and Hamiltons. Who the hell's on the 10?
Ooh.
Andrew.
Andrew? Just Andrew.
Yeah.
Like Dolph. Andrew. Anyway, we did not talk about the intro or the theme, which we normally talk about on this one.
Yes.
So before we head out here, I'd like to. I mean, Sean, are you feeling up to a dramatic reading of this one?
Oh my god, I almost kind of want to sing it. Here's the thing.
Feel free. If
You
want
can
to take
sing
it.
it.
Yeah, do what you want.
I love this. I love this theme song.
Yeah? It's quite jazzy.
Alexander Hamilton's on the 10.
Oh, okay. So not Andrew anything.
No,
Okay.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Dropping Hamiltons.
I don't understand. I don't understand water, chemistry, biology, or currency.
It's all good. What you
evidently.
do understand is intros and theme music. So
Yes. So, like we had to listen to this
Yeah.
a couple times to be able to get this out. It's the shortest intro ever,
Yeah.
but I love it. It just says like it says, "Who's got a tiger by the tail? Hold on, TigerSharks. Who's got a spaceship with a sail? Hold on, TigerSharks."
Beautifully
and that's
done.
the entire theme song.
Beautifully
but like, it's just.
There's a couple more Tiger Sharks they throw in.
yeah, because
Yeah,
it's like
there's
real
some-
jazzy and like upbeat and a lot of
Tiger
fun.
Sharks.
It's just like ba ba, a lot of like
very
horn
upbeat.
section. Yeah.
No.
So it's sort of it kind of goes like it just goes like, "Who's got a tiger by the tail? Hold on, Tiger Sharks."
Ba-da.
Like,
You're good, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was really good.
"Who's got a spaceship with a sail? Hold on, Tiger Sharks.
Ba-da,
Tiger Sharks."
ba-da, ba.
I think it took them as long to record it as it just took us to do it.
Yeah, that was they did. First pass.
First take.
Yep,
We're good.
nailed it.
There's like one part where it's like, "Hold on, hold
Ship it.
on,
No, ship it.
Tiger Sharks."
Yeah.
And that's it.
And they use
Like-
this. They use this like weird like horn medley. They're like ba ba da ba ba da ba throughout the entire
It's
episode.
like the Kenny G version plays every once in a while in the background.
Yeah,
And
just
I'm
for
like-
no reason.
I'm like, it gets sexy. It gets as a
Oh,
wipe
yeah.
in between scenes. It gets sexy like our cops wipe.
The cops.
God, cops.
So good. I don't know. We gotta put together the best wipes in cartoons. Tiger Sharks is pretty good.
yeah.
They've got this weird kind of like it looks like, oh man, what is it? Is it Reef? Is it like the Reef brand of clothing and stuff? That's yeah, I think it's like the Reef brand of clothing or whatever. It's just got that like that symbol. I don't know, but they have this
Yeah,
symbol
of like the
Tiger
wave,
Sharks.
of the wave.
Yeah, it's like a wave and kind of like an arc over, and that's their wipe. So like that, Brave Star, Cops, those are my top favorites. But speaking of top favorites, are we going to recommend Tiger Sharks to the listeners in Listenerland?
You know what? I'm gonna say yes.
What in the hell? We just you make no sense to me sometimes.
No, I know. I'd say watch this just because it is so batshit insane that like there are moments where like I had to pause this episode so many times
Yeah.
to just be like, oh my god, I have no idea what I'm watching, and like I think, and I'd really just watch it for two characters. Watch it for Gup because Gup is
Old Guppy.
an awesome basset hound.
Yeah.
I love Gup. And then also watch this for Dragonstein.
Yeah, exactly.
Dragonstein defies logic and is just has no lines other than to just like randomly
Just belch
breathe
fire.
fire on
Yep.
everything. But he is a rad character. I loved anytime Dragonstein was on the screen. I was just like, yes, something's gonna burn. Like, I thought it was an interesting show. I also think it's really interesting that like you can only find one episode.
Yeah, that's
Like,
really strange. I mean, come on, Greeks,
it's-
get it together. If you really like this show, get some of the English versions up, and then feel free to like dub them in Greek again if you want.
So I think it's an interesting find and an interesting watch.
Yes.
For something. I mean, like because Rankin Bass has made such great shows like Thundercats and Silverhawks, and this is the middle child, and it's just if you like, here's the thing, if you like Thundercats and you like Silverhawks, you will probably be able to at least stomach or not have your eyeballs bleed by watching TigerSharks.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's nuts. It's just nuts, and I think. For those two characters alone, I think for Gup and for Dragonstein, it's worth watching.
Fair enough. Now, Joe, this was your suggestion this week, so how do you stand in the recommendation department?
I give it 5 out of 5 memories of fond memories of a well-spent youth. I mean, this is a great show. I loved it, 30 years ago. I love it now.
I feel like Octavia is influencing your decision there a little bit, but
Yes, that's true.
I mean, that's fine.
Don't Google Octavia Rule.
Definitely Google it. Nah, we all got our
Definitely
things.
Google
It's
it.
cool.
It's awful.
Cool. Nah, we got it.
Is it really?
It's exactly what you'd expect.
It's exactly what you'd expect. The tentacles kind of, yeah.
It is.
The tentacles kind of make
Holy
themselves
shit.
very, very obvious
The
there.
thing is, I find it hard to believe that it's even more amateurishly drawn than the actual cartoon.
Yeah, on like lined 8x11 notebook
That's
paper with a
awful.
3-hole punch. Yeah.
This is definitely like somebody who was bored in detention.
This was just
drawing
like
this.
found in a desk in like a 6th grade 1987 classroom or something. Yeah.
Oh my god! Why
As-
did I pull this up?
As for while Sean
not to.
while Sean is perusing that,
Mistake.
I'm not going to recommend this, but I will kind of agree with Sean that if you were a fan of Thundercats and Silverhawks, this kind of completes the trifecta, the triptych, if you will, of the land, sea, and air movement from Rankin Bass.
It never even struck me till right now that there was a land, sea, air thing going
And
on.
I can't
Wow.
take credit for that. I actually saw that in a comment on, I believe, the Greek video of this.
Genius.
Yeah, so well done, Greek commenter or whoever you are, because that was smart. That's very much a Centurions type move to do.
Yes.
So well done. But yeah, I will agree with Sean. Not so much on Guppy, but definitely Dragonstein, and I fully subscribe to the Church of Dragonstein, which hopefully that will be
Dragonstein rules.
Dragonstein rules. He's at the center of the earth, and Waltero. Yeah, so that's that for this week. If you can find it, seek it out. We're going to try to get some links up to it if we can, especially if you can buy this craziness somewhere, or at least the petition to.
I
be able to
checked
do that.
eBay. You can't. I mean,
Not even there, huh?
They released some VHS copies back in.
And no
like,
toys, like no toys out there for him.
Oh no, there's plenty of toys.
Oh, there's
you
plenty
can
of
buy
toys.
all
Okay.
kinds of toys on eBay.
So
Really?
what we're going to do,
Oh,
we're going to
yeah.
buy the toys. We're going to put together our own stop motion presentation.
That's a great idea.
Underwater, yeah, it's going to be good. So you can kickstart that. I will say this though: the TigerSharks do appear in an episode of the rebooted Thundercats series. So the one that was rebooted a couple of years ago. They do actually pop up there. I think only for a little bit. I didn't watch this episode, but they're like they're one of the animals that are like under control of Mum-Ra or something like that. I might have that wrong,
Wow.
but they do pop up. So it's a nice nod back to the Rankin Bass days and to fans like Joe who watch this religiously. So yeah, check it out if that interests you. But on the premise that this is like an enjoyable, entertaining show, no, not for me. Not for me. Fucking nuts. Except for Dragonstein.
I just found an image of Octavia,
Oh, boy.
Chitara, and whoever the female is
Oh.
in Silverhawks getting very comfortable together.
We got to do Silverhawks someday too, because that's one that I remember, but definitely did not. I don't recall a whole lot, like names or anything like that. So we got to do Silverhawks
Yeah.
someday. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Good stuff. All right. Well, anything
I'm gonna
else
delete
on?
my browser? I'm gonna
Yeah, delete your browser history.
Oh, what have I done?
By delete browser history, he means download and then upload to the
No,
cloud.
I just mean throw a Molotov cocktail at my computer.
That
Just
works
burn
too.
it.
Just be doubly sure. So anything else from TigerSharks
Just
for you
fix.
guys before we move on to the plugs for this week?
The last thing I want to say
Yeah.
is that there were people on this show that just had a weird color skin. My only justification for this is that Lorca has jaundice,
Yes.
and Dolph has permanent frostbite.
And I think Watero probably has some circulation issues
Yeah.
due to his obesity. Yeah, there's some weird shaped faces too. Like they really did reverse engineer everything from the animal backwards. So like even when they were making them into the human characters, they kind of still look like animal creatures. It's just a little strange.
Oh,
Yeah.
as a side note, did anybody notice that, like, even when they were swimming in the water, like, Walro was like, I'm still going to take my cane with
Yep,
me.
I'm going to take my
Like,
cane laser
Yeah,
helicopter
Walro's cane is
device.
awesome.
His cane is a laser gun. Yeah, fucking helicopter propeller.
It shoots a drill torpedo thing.
Whatever you
This
want,
fucking
man.
show.
Whatever you
I
want.
want to change my statement on the show now. Oh, go ahead. Let's do plugs.
All right, let's do some plugs.
I'm
Joe,
gonna stick with my previous statement.
I want to thank Joe, and I know Sean does too. I really want to thank Joe for not only filling in this week for Matt, who's off on his wedding and honeymoon, but also for bringing this delightful mess to our doorstep, because I feel like the show would have definitely been missing something if we did not cover TigerSharks. So, Joe, thank you very much for joining us on the show. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure we will have you again in the future.
It's been a true delight. You guys are great.
Fantastic. Do you have anything that you want to plug coming up for the people? Anything out there for the listeners?
No, I'm a private citizen. I've got nothing.
Leave them alone, people. Sean, how about you? I know you got shows coming up later this fall, but anything coming up?
Yeah,
in
I've
your
got some shows coming up in October, November, and December, but nothing right now.
Excellent. Just taking a break.
Taking a break.
As far as me, no real plugs at the moment for anything coming up. However, I was just at Atlanta's Dragon Con this past weekend. I want to rename that to Dragonstein Con. We'll see if I can maybe cosplay as Dragonstein next year. Yeah, I'm not big into the cosplay. I like, seeing the people who are dressed up, but I just wore like a Scott Pilgrim shirt, and I even got irritated with the people that were like asking me to take pictures and stuff. I'm just like, I'm a guy in a t-shirt with wristbands. Like, it's nothing. I put no effort into this, but whatever. What the cool things I did get to do, I got to do an interview with Terry Gilliam, which was pretty sweet, for his new movie. It's out on VOD right now. It's called Zero Theorem. It's got Christoph Waltz, David Thewlis, a lot of really, really great actors that have small parts, major parts, a lot of good stuff. That's out now. It's also coming in limited release later in September. He talks about a lot of cool stuff, especially his time with working with the late Robin Williams, which was a nice little side story that I gave us there. That was pretty cool. Also, I got the opportunity to drop in on this surprise presentation from Dana Snyder. Now, you might not recognize his name. You would definitely recognize this guy's voice. He voices Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yeah, absolutely.
He also does Granny on Squidbillies and a number of other voices on a variety of different shows and networks. And when he speaks, he sounds exactly like Master Shake. So that's pretty damn funny. And he's not a stand-up comedian as far as I know, but he was hilarious. He had the entire panel just like laughing, and it wasn't super populated. There wasn't a lot of people there, but it was a lot of fun. He has a couple of podcasts that I'm going to plug just because I had an entertaining time listening to him talk. One is the Ken PD Snidecast. Another one of my favorites, is called Drunk on Disney. That's when him and a couple of his buddies, much like this show, they get recipe cards for different alcoholic drinks at Disney attractions, and they share them with the listeners, and then they drink them while they're talking on the show. So you get just like an hour of them rambling drunkenly about Disney-related paraphernalia. So that was pretty interesting. We'll have some links up on the webpage, which is SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. And remember, that's morning with a U. So if you want to find us, email us, all that good stuff. Remember, morning with a U. You can find us on iTunes. Please do, and subscribe there. You'll get these episodes every week downloaded to you just from Apple iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at MorningTunes. Sean, where can the people find you on Twitter?
Find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Paul Ellis.
And Private Citizen Joe Gallo, if you would like to be found on Twitter, where could people do so?
At Crazy Joe Gallo.
There it is, folks. And if you want to bug me, you can find me at Dr. Claw MD. You can also check out our Tumblr page. I'll try to keep Sean's Octavia drawings off of there, but no promises.
I'm not posting anything.
He's going to post them.
NSFW.
He's going to post them. And it's at...
Also, just as an aside, have you guys not been drinking when we do this podcast?
I usually don't. I might start after this show.
Oh my god.
I think you might have to start.
After this show, I feel like I might, but...
This is becoming mandatory.
It really should be. But yeah, you can check out our Tumblr page at SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. Next week, we will be joining you once again, and we'll have the regular crew back in here. Joe will be returning to his life of craziness and privacy. But it's going to be Baron's pick next week. Now, we did talk to Baron on the far-flung island of Hawaii. I believe that's where he is. Is that correct? I don't know if
Yes,
he's back
that's
in.
correct.
All right, cool. Baron's pick for next week is going to be The Adventures of the Galaxy Rangers. I don't know a whole lot about this one, but their intro is really friggin' sweet, and I mean that in a very serious sense. So yeah, looking forward to that one. And
I'm hoping this is another Brave Star.
I don't know if you mean that in a
I
good
look forward to
way,
hearing it, fellas.
or I don't know how you mean that, but we'll find out.
I just,
I hope there's a very special episode of Galaxy.
Oh my god, we gotta find
oh
the
my
drug
God.
episode.
If there is a drug episode, I'm so on board.
Well, you know what, Joe? It's too late. He's gone. All right, kids. Until next time, this has been Saturday Morning
Trouble the shaman
Cartoons.
to travel back in time.
False.
Peter
did the
Newman
show,
is
and they're all
Nikolai Jakov on Archer. And point of interest here, Larry Kenny was Count Chocula, as well as Sonny the Cuckoo Bird, if you're feeling cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I'm going to have to add that on our Monday morning breakfast cereal segment.
there
We've
you
been
go.
posted on the site because they're fun
The
to watch, so I'm going to go back and look for him. Yeah.
The interesting thing about this is that like a majority of our shows that we've watched that have been like late 80s, early 90s have gone like one season, 50 plus episodes.
Yeah.
This seems like the most reasonable show that we've watched so far, where they're just one season, 26 episodes. Like that seems by today's like sitcom, like evening sitcom standards,
Right.
like it seems like somewhere between like the 22 to the 26 episode range is pretty standard, and it seems like TigerSharks didn't go overboard in that sense.
No,
So
what a terrible
I'm
pun.
I'm going to applaud TigerSharks for not being like, we're gonna kill this terrible idea and just pummel it into the ground.
Yeah, it's weird though because it did follow, like Joe mentioned, in a series of Rankin Bass animated series. So in '85 there was Thundercats, in '86 there was Silverhawks, and then '87 there was TigerSharks. First, I'd like to be in on the boardroom while they're just like coming up with names for things. It's basically like a Mad Lib.
God.
It's like filling out a Mad Lib. Just like throw out an adjective or a noun and then throw an animal to at the same time. It's just like, thunder, cats. Yeah, that's good. Next. Silver.
Lightning Prairie Dog.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, I don't know about that one. Somebody else. Yeah.
You know, just Rankin Bass has like a great track. I was about to say terrible track record.
Nah, they got a
Let's be
crazy
honest.
track
They have,
record, yeah.
They have an amazing track record with coming up with like the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to names for their world building. I mean, just to kind of get into this show, all of this takes place on the fictitious world. It takes place between Earth and Watero. And if you're wondering how Watero
Oh, boy.
is spelled, it's just Water-O.
Yep. Lazy.
That's it.
That's about as lazy as Lion-O.
It's the laziest thing. Oh, and guess what?
Is it
pretty much an
inspired?
entire-
I think it's inspired, not lazy. Come on.
I'm sorry, Joe or Dave. What does the fish tank look like?
It's
I'll
a
give it to
giant
Joe, yeah.
Sauna
It's a big
that
old
you
hot
jump
tub.
in and it bubbles up and lasers shoot around.
For no reason.
That's how I couldn't recall when I described the show to people. I always just said they'd like jump in a giant sauna. and
Yeah,
it
when
turns-
Joe was like talking, he's like,
Critters.
"Oh, there's this show. I can't remember the name of it." He's like, "But there's a bunch of people that jump into a hot tub together, and then they turn into animals." I'm like, I don't think that's a show for kids.
It's totally a show.
It's not for kids.
Only
but turns
for-
out,
It's
turns out it was.
It's like if you went to if in the 80s, it's like if you went to like a Night Ranger concert and it was in an aquarium. Like that's what
Yeah.
the fish tank was.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of laser light show. Like it's just a lot of just like
A lot of like
sparkle
unisex
and glitz.
jumpsuits and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just,
some weird
it's
stuff.
crazy. But these people, they get into these humans. Let me preface this because there are multiple races that are in this show.
Yes.
These humans from Earth get into this fish tank, and it transforms them into whatever their marine form would be. Which
Oh
again,
well, how would you?
based off of,
How would you make that?
oh my God, Dave, how would you figure out what the translation?
Yeah, how do you know
was between-
which character, which animal you
Well, I
want
think
to
the
be?
on
only
their
proper way to
lazy
do it would be like
ass.
Animorphs, you know, like they
Oh,
got
yeah.
a sea creature and then they can absorb its DNA and transform into it.
Or like Sean
That
said,
would
based
be
on lazy ass naming
schemes.
schemes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
lazy
awesome.
ass
Straight up names.
Oh, that's terrible. It's
Oh.
terrible. Like if I was to,
No
if I was
DNA
to say-
code.
If I was to introduce myself, Dave,
Yeah.
and I was to say my name is Mako,
Oh, okay.
what do you think I would turn into
I'm gonna go
when I get
shark.
into the fish tank?
I'm gonna go shark.
Oh my God, You are 100% correct.
Yeah.
Because this show is...
I love the reverse engineering of this show, though, because they're just like, we need a shark, a dolphin, an octopus. What are we going to name these idiots? How about Mako, Dolph, and Octavia? How's that sound? Yep, perfect. Nailed it. No last names.
But now, I had a moment of enlightenment earlier, though, because I thought that one of their names didn't fit at all.
Yeah, this was pretty good.
Horse character is Bronk, and I was like, "What the heck is up with that?" But
there you go.
And Bronk turns into a seahorse.
Yeah,
and
like a sea bronco.
Also like a...
Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Come with you from the alien planet of Watero. I'll be your host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me today in the fish tank, DC area improv artist and comedian Sean Sharkfin Ellis. How's it going, man?
David. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, doing pretty good. We also have our very special guest and the man who suggested this week's series, Joe the Blowfish Gallo. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Oh man, I'm real good. I could be better after this show. Thankfully, we only had to watch about one episode of this series because that's all we could find. We'll talk about that because it
thankfully
was really
YouTube
tough.
Was smart enough to only put one episode available to us.
Of all the things, man,
the best.
They do not love this show, which is TigerSharks. I believe that's the first time we mentioned the show, TigerSharks. Yeah, can't really find it out there on YouTube. And the history of it, you would think, it came from a fairly established production house, which Joe's going to tell us about the history of this show right about now. So I'll turn it over to you.
All right, so TigerSharks is part of the comic strip show, which was 4 different animated series all wrapped up in one. You had the Mini Monsters, Street Frogs, Karate Cat, the only one I cared about when I was 8, TigerSharks. 26 episodes from 87 to 88, and it sort of fits in with some of the other Rankin Bass work, Thundercats, Silverhawks, and they used a lot of the same voice talent. So Dolph is voiced by Larry Kenney, who was Lion-O. Walro, voiced by Earl Hammond, is Mum-Ra. And then Mako, Peter Newman, provides just a whole ensemble of characters on Silverhawks and Thundercats. As far as where are they now and what are some other interesting things they've done,
they're all dead, like a bronco.
Yeah.
Bronco.
So
That was the one
even
intern
that, I thought
in
that
the
was
room.
just like
Yeah.
the one of these things is not like the other.
No.
But
yeah, this is the
Turns
that
out
could have been. It could have been the one that like breaks the mold that everybody's just like,
No.
oh my god, applaud.
Exactly, the
Rankin Bass
one-
for,
A little bit of
coming up with
originality.
The one
original-
character.
Nope, absolutely not.
Well, let's talk about the other characters, though, because we've got this whole TigerSharks team. Do you want to talk about the characters first, or do you want to talk about their name, TigerSharks? Sean, what would you like to do? Because I know you were puzzling over this.
Let's talk about the characters. I mean,
Okay.
because we've already started to talk about Mako,
Yeah.
and obviously he turns into a Mako shark,
Yeah, how about that?
and he's just like sort of like he's sort of like the leader of some of he's like the mission leader.
Yeah.
For a lot of the stuff that they do.
He's like the team supervisor, basically, and then just becomes a leader. Yeah.
He's the team middle manager.
Right. You're right, exactly.
It's just, but he turns into this cool ass Mako shark. They have you have the guy who creates the fish tank is named Walro, and surprise, surprise, he turns into a walrus.
Yeah. Now, therein lies the first kind of question mark that raised when I was watching this. So, Walro is kind of like, he's the old, portly, mustachioed gentleman with the kind of this gravelly voice. Joe,
He's the paternal figure.
Yes, he's very much the paternal
Yeah.
figure. Joe, you had an interesting point with the voice cast. So, Walro is voiced by Earl Hammond, who also happened to voice...
Mum-Ra,
yeah,
as I
exactly.
mentioned.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
But he's also, it's funny because he keeps doing like these loud, like, oh, kind of things. And he sounds like a walrus Santa Claus.
It's very much a
He
walrus
plays
Santa
Santa Claus.
Oh, it's so
He
weird.
plays
Rankin Bass Life and Adventures
Yeah.
of Santa Claus.
It all makes sense. He's a mummy walrus Santa Claus. Enjoy that image, kids.
And
Oh,
also,
boy.
you might not know this,
Yeah.
he was TV's Buck Rogers.
What? Get out of
Was
here.
he?
Yes,
Earl
Get the hell
Hammond.
out.
completely serious.
Man, the voice cast and the history of the show is actually way more interesting than the show itself, because there's a lot of just like
Yeah.
Rankin Bass history to comb through.
The show itself is garbage.
It's
I mean,
pretty bad.
It's garbage that I wouldn't even have the TigerSharks salvage. Like,
Oh.
it's.
Look,
It's-
and
it's
we talk about some weird and kind of
I think it's lazily inspired. I mean, and guess what? Watero is it's a fictional world that's completely covered by water.
Oh, how about
Almost
that?
completely covered by water. Like, oh my God, how do and Watero has a race of fish people on it. Go figure. Called Waterians, and it's just and these tiger sharks. As we were talking about this offline,
Yeah.
like, I mean, because of the fact that we were restricted to watching like the one episode, like I'm sure that we weren't able to really get a lot of history. And I've actually been surprised. Like there's not a ton of information about the tiger sharks like online, just kind of like looking at different sites or even just kind of going through Tumblr. It always kind of seems like it's bundled with a lot of this like Rankin Bass
right.
Productions. And so like that's
Yeah,
fine.
even
like,
IMDb
never-
is very weak.
Oh
for
yeah, there's
this
nothing
show.
there.
It's
It's like a
sparse.
year and a title, and I think one voice
Yeah.
actor, and that's it. Yeah.
So I mean, like, you know, it's kind of surprising because Thundercats and Silverhawks, like those are standouts. Those are big. Like there's a lot of fandom that is around both of those franchises,
Yeah.
and rightly so. I mean, they're fun. I have very fond memories of watching them, but it just seems like Tiger Shark is kind of like the middle kid, even though it came last
Right.
in this. It kind of seems like it's the middle kid syndrome, where like it wanted to kind of measure up to its older brother and the younger sister, but like it just never quite got there. I'm just working through family issues on this podcast.
All good. No, it is kind of strange
Guys,
though, because
I'm Tiger Sharks.
Sean's TigerSharks.
I'm Tiger Sharks.
I
But,
did see
it's
on like a
just,
YouTube comment on one of the episodes that we were watching. This one was actually dubbed in Greek, which did not help anyone except the Greeks.
I know, that was hilarious.
Well, I found a one-off comment saying that this show was huge in Greece.
That's so
apparently.
weird. I
Really?
mean, maybe because they're like
Yeah,
a
well-
Mediterranean country. I don't know. Throw
Well,
that
I mean,
out there.
if anybody, if you know Greece for anything, their love of underwater salvage
Bankruptcy?
is
Love of bankruptcy. That's all I got.
Love of bankruptcy, love of poor economic exchange. But these tiger sharks are just sort of like this team of salvagers.
Yeah.
And they one of the members has created this device that is just, again, here we go with just Rankin Bass wonderful names. It's called the fish tank.
Yep.
And